Hi everyone, just got a quick overview of Project 2, which we are launching today. Um, as you know, as in previous projects, the key things for you to consistently be aware of are your modules, which you'll all have access to, and also your announcements, which we send out 3 per week. And as I've mentioned many times in the announcements, it's basically my way of talking to you as if we were in class together. So there are a lot of key considerations and requirements in the announcements that are really important to review and make sure you're clear on. And if you have any questions come up, you want to make sure you reach out to me directly via Canvas inbox and just get a hold of me. So for our project for the next month, we're going to be focused on Project 2, which is a very important project. It's where we start to deal with levels of information hierarchy and how to deal with tight constraints and, from very tight constraints to very open, no requirements in some ways, always with the goal of reaching an audience and being clear on our intentions in the design. So if you look at the overview here, all of your Project 2 modules are listed. You'll see that, as usual, I always note everything. So first of all, it has your class name, so you know it's from our class. And then I'll always put in parentheses, read in video. These are kind of resources. Anything that's graded will say graded, which doesn't make it any more or less important than these other ones. These are all equally important, okay? Now, because of the amount of, iterations and feedback that's going to be required, I'm going to include this key considerations list, which is your general, go-to reference point for everything, okay? So a lot of times you might hear me say, go reference the key considerations list. I mean this here. It's really important. That's going to list out all of the, kind of main considerations for you on this project. The first thing to do is obviously the information hierarchy overview, but also to let you know, most of the time when anything is going to be graded, you'll see if you look in the modules, the indented elements here are the graded assignments. So that hopefully helps to clarify also when you look at this. But in the overview, when you look at this, you'll get a clear sense of kind of what we're doing. And here, again, I want you to read through everything. There are submission requirements for every task. It's always an 8x8 page that we're using. We're always using the typeface Helvetica, always, no matter what. And there are very specific, constraints for how you're going to use them, okay? So, for example, if you go through your task list, you're going to have 7 different tasks, and you're going to do several layouts for each task over the course of the next month. And to be clear, if you've done your reading and you're familiar with the terminology, we know that when we're talking about weights in a typeface, we're talking about regular, bold, italic, thin, whatever that is, okay? And it's different for different typefaces. So for example, in this first task, you're going to be doing a layout on an 8x8 page, which will be the same size for every page you do. And as I'll read through in the task, you see like, okay, if I use, say, 9-point Helvetica regular for my first task, because I know that I'm only allowed to use one size and one weight. So if I use Helvetica regular at 9 points, I got to use that for the entire layout, okay? Now, if I'm doing 3 to 5 layouts per task, I only have to worry about having them the same size let's say, in version 1 of the task, I'm going to have 9 points, and I'm going to try another version with 8.5 points. You can vary the sizes between the different layouts, but within each layout, it has to be the same size, okay? So I would use Helvetica regular 9 points. I'm doing that for the whole, first layout of task 1. For the second layout, I might do Helvetica bold at 10 points, which is kind of big, but and then as I get into the second task, I can now use the same size. So, so I can still use only one size, but now I can use 2 weights, okay? And this video will help to clarify what we're talking about. And will also be some student examples listed in the modules, as you'll see. But the first thing to do would be to review this all the way. The milestones and due dates are listed here as well, but they're also in your modules. This is the content that you're going to be using. You're going to be using all of this content, okay? You're going to have this sort of address, contact info, and then you're going to have this little blurb, which is kind of like an overview. This is a bookshop in England, which really you want to do the research yourself and find out a little bit more about them. And then here are the different topics that they feature in the shop, okay? So it's like a list. And you're going to include that list in your layouts, okay? You'll see here that I've divided up that list with using commas. Obviously, if you list, let's say you list it as a full list vertically from top to bottom, graphic design on line 1, digital design, typography, etc., going down a list, then you don't need the commas. If you are going to do it in this kind of layout, you can switch out the commas for bullets or dashes or slashes, whatever you want. You have some freedom there. But you want to include these elements in all of your tasks. There's going to be one task 6, which is experimental, and that you're going to have free reign to just go crazy with. So you can do a lot of different approaches. And again, there are videos and examples for you to look at, okay, in each of them. So that's the overview. That's your first order of business to check out. And then you'll see, there's going to be, each review I'll list out, kind of the things, and I'll also list resources along with different examples. So in the 1 and 2 examples, like you can go through the video to find those task 1 and 2 examples, like we were just talking about. Okay, I touch on that in here, and then the subsequent examples will be shown in each module. You'll see examples here, examples here, etc. Okay, so there's always stuff for you to refer to. All right. You're going to want to make sure you stay on top of the due dates because they're going to be consistent, and you don't want to get caught behind. Okay, everything's going to be due finally on May 1st before we get into our last project, which is a book design system. All right, any questions, let me know. I'm happy to reach out if you want to meet one-on-one for additional feedback at any time. We can set up office hours to do that as well. And I look forward to hearing from you and seeing your work. Thanks.